GoPro fell off the car. And welcome back to another video. Hopefully this one is going to be an interesting one. On my way to BRC to get the C400 on the dyno and see what figures we can make. I'm running a bit late, so let's hit the road. Not going to talk too much, I need to concentrate. This is the first time I'm towing the car. And another thing, because the car is automatic, it's actually idling back there. Let me get over there, get this thing on the dyno, and we'll see what happens. Car strapped on the dyno, the first thing we did was start it up and double check the timing. Now, I'm not too clued up on the tuning side of things, so don't quote me on this, but the timing apparently was a bit fast. I'm guessing that's advanced timing. So with a few adjustments in the ECU, we got that dialed in. Next up was getting the fuel ratio where it needs to be. So using the dyno load at different RPM ranges, it took about 30 minutes of driving to adjust and get that where the engine is happy and running like it should. Was a bit on the lean side, and the engine had some pre-detonation on higher RPM. So I'm really happy I actually took the car to the dyno to get it exactly where it needs to be, because the tune I had for this engine on the ECU was back when this engine was still in the Ford and before I figured out the gearbox. So we just put it in drive and did the mapping that way, so it was not a proper tune. Apparently on the dyno, generally cars get a bit hotter than on the road, so we had to keep an eye on the coolant temp and cool down the radiator every now and again. Slight panic attack when I saw the smoke pouring out the back, but luckily that was just the paint on the exhaust getting a bit toasty. So with timing and fueling adjusted and perfect, we could do a power run and get some numbers on how much power we are making. think those are some pretty decent numbers. 141 kilowatt at the wheels and 352 Newton meters of torque. Now speed and power is one thing, and seeing the numbers on the dyno is a big reason I took the car for a dyno tune. Apart from the fact that it needed it, but I wanted you guys to see exactly what we are working with. Because unfortunately, speed and power doesn't translate on videos as it does sitting in the driver's seat. With that being said, the real party piece of this thing is that flamethrower in the exhaust. Not in my wildest dreams did I think it would work this good. It sounds like a blowtorch in this thing's exhaust. And again, unfortunately, the video doesn't do the sounds and the feeling of that any justice. Also, it was daytime, so I think at night, that's gonna look insane. More on that soon. With a very successful dyno session done and dusted, we had the green light for the up and coming road trip. So I got the C400 towed straight back home to start packing and getting ready to leave early the next morning. So first things first, I'm definitely planning on doing some burnout soon, so I'll be taking some extra wheels and tires with. Another thing was removing or disconnecting the drive shaft. I didn't want to have the car running back there, towing it for 2 hours straight. And with that sorted, I loaded up a few tools and stuff I'll need at the destination we're going to. Like reconnecting the drive shaft once we get there, or when I want to change the wheels. At least I'll have the tools with me to get that sorted out.
The next morning.
Well, one of my worst fears just came true. So GoPro fell off the car, so I had to unhook the 204, speed back that way, and luckily I found it. It's a bit messed up, but at least I found it. So I didn't realize the GoPro fell off until about 2 kilometers later on. I looked back and my heart stopped. Not only about the money and replacing the camera, but just the previous day I went for the dyno tuning and all that footage was still on the camera, so I would have lost that too. And besides that, I really need this GoPro for where I'm going and what I have planned. Now, I couldn't just turn around with the C400 attached to the 204, so I had to leave the C400 behind, unhook it next to the highway, turn around with the 204, head back 2 kilometers this way in search of the GoPro. Like I said, I can't believe I actually found it. What I saw on the highway was a piece of the mount that I used for the GoPro. So I saw this and started looking around where I found this piece. So all the pieces of the mount, so the camera was actually out of its mount, the mount broke and the camera was in the grass. Talk about finding a needle in a haystack. Now I'm freaking out because I mean the C400 is standing next to the highway. Anybody can just stop at any moment, hook it onto their car and have a pretty cool toy. A bunch of that stuff went through my head. But anyway, found the GoPro, luckily, and we can head back to the C400, hook it back on, and keep going. This poor thing took a hard fall, but it still works. It has a few scratches and then the broken lens, but I already have one on the way. Luckily, it's a simple fix, and it does in fact still work. Apart from that little hiccup, we made it to our destination. We made it. The A-frame did great. The 204 was still extremely fuel efficient. I got 13 kilometers on a liter of diesel towing the C400. Again, that's just amazing. Really happy about that. So, a very successful dyno session. The car is dialed in and ready to go. A successful road trip, mostly. And we made it to a place we can start driving this thing. So, I thought I'll end this video off with the first drive because I haven't really driven this thing. So let's go feel it out. Okay, so just a quick normal little test drive. I'm curious to see how the microphone sounds when I'm driving, so I just want to check that. Open up a window. It's nice and hot today. Let's see how she feels. Ever since the dyno, car starts way easier. It still has that little binding situation going on, but it's not too bad. Definitely much better. Well, here we go. This thing is super low for where I am. So I'll tell you guys a bit more on that in the next video. Here we go, first drive. Way too easy. Just turn around and go park this thing. That's enough for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Can't wait to show you what I have planned. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you then. Peace.
A few moments later.
So that didn't last very long. Forgot about the freaking hood latches. Great.